All right, everyone, welcome back. We're doing something a little different today. We're going to be taking what we're calling a deep dive into an episode of a motivational podcast. It's called The Rise and Grind: Resilience, Grit, and Glory. Yeah. So I know at first glance it might seem like, your typical self-help stuff, maybe a bit cheesy even, but stick with us. Okay.
Yeah, there's actually some really interesting stuff in here. Some real nuggets of wisdom, I think, applicable to pretty much anyone, whatever your goals are,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, exactly. And that's really what we're going for here. We want to unpack some of these concepts they're talking about, like resilience and grit and how they apply to, everyday life. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think the episode does a good job right from the start of sort of setting the stage. They emphasize that everyone, like literally everyone, faces struggles.
Yeah, and they really hammer that point home. Like
Yeah.
they give all these examples, right? They talk
Mhm.
about single parents, they talk
Yeah.
about students, they talk about athletes, entrepreneurs.
And I think that's important, right? Like acknowledging that struggle is universal. It's part of the human experience. It's not something to be ashamed of.
Yeah, totally. Like it's not about pretending everything's perfect. It's about, accepting that challenges are just part of life, right? Like it's how we deal with them that matters.
Absolutely. And that's where I think this idea of grit comes in. The episode, they define grit as that ability to keep pushing, to keep going even when things get tough.
Yeah. Yeah, they talk about, like pushing through even when the odds are stacked against you or
Yeah.
whatever, right? And they give some pretty vivid examples too, like um, the entrepreneur who keeps pitching their idea even after getting rejected, like 100 times, you know.
Right, or the musician who practices for hours and hours every day, or the scientist who, sees every failed experiment as just another step closer to a breakthrough.
It's funny though, because when you think about it, pushing through
Mm.
almost sounds too simplistic, you know? Like, isn't there more to grit than just, brute force willpower?
Hmm.
Like, don't you also need strategy, adaptability, knowing when to, like, pivot or change course?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think maybe a better way to think about grit is like intelligent persistence. It's not just about blindly pushing forward. It's about knowing when to double down and when to maybe, adjust your approach.
Right, like figuring out, is this a wall I need to break through or is this a detour sign? I don't know.
Exactly. And thinking about these examples, like what stands out to you? What resonates with your own experiences?
Hmm. That's a good question. I mean, I've definitely had moments where, giving up just felt so tempting, you know. But looking back, I actually think those times when I, really had to dig deep and find that grit, those were the times that, like, shaped me the most, you know. What about you? Have you had, like, a grit moment that comes to mind?
Oh, absolutely, many times. And it's interesting because those moments, those grit moments, they're often so intertwined with doubt, And the Rise and Grind episode, they don't shy away from that either. They actually acknowledge that everyone, even the most successful people, they experience self-doubt.
Yeah, and that part was really, really reassuring to me, you know. It's so easy to look at someone who's achieved great things and think, oh, they must have never doubted themselves, you know. But the episode actually suggests that, like, doubt can be a sign of growth. Like, it can push us to reevaluate, to refine our approach.
Right, and they give some really relatable examples. Like they talk about a writer questioning if their work is any good, an athlete wondering if they can still compete at the top level, a business owner being afraid of failing. These are all normal, natural doubts, but they can actually be a good thing if we use them the right way.
It's about, like, reframing it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of seeing doubt as a weakness, seeing it as an opportunity to learn and improve. Have you ever experienced that, like, doubt leading to something positive in your own life?
Oh, countless times. And I think that's part of what makes those breakthrough moments, after all the grinding and pushing through the doubt, so much sweeter. Like that moment when all that hard work, all that resilience, it finally pays off. And the podcast does a great job of like painting this picture of these breakthrough moments, like the writer finally seeing their book published, the athlete winning a medal, the entrepreneur seeing their company succeed, those kinds of things.
Those are the moments, right? Those are the moments we dream of. But the episode makes this really important point, which is if we fixate too much on just the outcome, we can actually end up disappointed. Like, it's the journey itself, the journey with all its challenges and lessons that really shapes us, you know?
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in that hustle culture mentality.
Mm.
But focusing only on the end goal can make us miss all those little wins, the daily progress, the moments of growth that happen along the way.
And speaking of, the bigger picture, the episode also touches on how individual success can have this like ripple effect. Like it
Yeah.
can inspire others, it can strengthen communities, uplift families. It's not just about achieving something for ourselves, it's about the impact we have on the people around us.
Yeah, and they highlight the importance of things like mentorship, sharing our experiences. They talk about mentors guiding the next generation, communities coming together to support a common cause, families celebrating each other's achievements. It's a powerful reminder that our own journeys can actually become beacons of hope for others.
That's a great point.
Right.
And I think it leads us to the question we want to leave you with today as we wrap up this deep dive. It's, how can we use our own rise and grind stories to help others? How can we offer guidance, share our experiences, be a source of encouragement?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this whole rise and grind mentality, it's not just about, achieving some grand external success, right? It's about how we approach challenges, how we learn from setbacks, how we support one another, and maybe it's even about how we redefine what success truly means to us.
I like that. All right, everyone, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us.
See you next time.